So, this is the agenda for today's presentation. First, we'll start with the introduction to the Anritsu, then designing of antenna, then simulation using HFSS or some other EM softwares, then fabrication using PCB prototype or chemical etching process, then testing of your antenna. This is a first part of the presentation. Then second part of presentation is a fundamental of vector network analyzer, which covers basics of transmission line, then VNA for passive and active device characterization, then characterization of antenna using Anritsu vector network analyzer. Means what all parameter can be obtained with the help of Anritsu vector network analyzer. Then the third part is a Anritsu portfolio, what all vector network analyzer available with us, like Shockline family, handheld family, then Vector Star for passive device characterization. Then last part is a question answer session. If you have any queries and question in between the presentation, please feel free to express yourself in your chat box. So this is the introduction of Anritsu. Anritsu basically a Japanese company, but we have a two division. First one is in Japan and second one is in Anritsu company USA. And we have around 4,000 employee across the globe. Then we have 23 sales office across the globe. Then we have 8 sites for R&D and the manufacturing of test and measurement instruments. So first we established in 1895. If if we take checking, we are 125-year-old company. So this is the introduction for Anritsu India Private Limited. Anritsu India Private Limited is a 100% subsidiary of Anritsu Corporation Japan and Anritsu Company USA. So Anritsu Corporation Japan and Anritsu Company USA are leading manufacturing in test and measurement instruments in Japan and USA respectively. We have a more than 125-year legacy in test and measurement instruments. We have invented so many new instruments or new concepts, like which is in test and measurement instruments. And then we have a instrument for 5G, 4G, and 3G. Then we have for optical test and measurement instruments. Then we have instruments for RF and microwave technologies. And it's India have more than 135 human resources to serve India. We also have a ISO 9001 labs situated in Bangalore, Noida, and Hyderabad. All Anritsu service center staff are factory trained technician. They have thoroughly knowledge for most of the all instruments. So we serve telecom ecosystem, including for mobile handset and R&D and the manufacturing for chipset, telecom, mobile operators, system integration. We also have a customer database like Education Institute, Research Lab, Aerospace and Defense Communication. We supplied our instruments to DRDO, CSIR labs. So these are our customer database. So now we starting to the main slides, where we can use our antenna or where antenna are used. So antenna are the key component in every RF and microwave systems, which can transmit or receive a radio waves. That depends where you antenna using. Example for this is satellite communication or terrestrial communication or radar or sonar. You can use antenna in any of the communication systems. Antenna reciprocal device you can use for transmission of your RF, or you can use as a receiver. It can work equally efficiently in the both direction. It depends where you are using. So we will look at the measuring these device utilizing Anritsu vector network analyzer. Means how we can characterize antenna using Anritsu vector network analyzer. What all parameter can be obtained with the help of Anritsu vector network analyzer. So this slide gives you common terms uses in antenna like polarization, near field, and the far field. So if we talking about the polarization is the orientation of antenna to the earth. There are mainly two types of polarization. First one is a vertical polarization and second one is a horizontal. So there may be more polarization also available in antenna, but we are focusing in vertical polarization and the horizontal polarization. What is vertical polarization? When antenna E field is vertical to the earth surface is called a vertical polarization. So this is the simple definition of vertical polarization. Then horizontal polarization. If antenna E field is horizontal to the earth surface is called a horizontal polarization. So this is the polarization mainly used in antenna. Then near field and the far field also general terms uses in antenna theory. Near field are close to the antenna within a couple of wavelength of the operating frequency. Perfect example for near field antenna is RFID in your credit card or in your metro card, where you have to wave your card over a scanner to pay amount, or you have to pay a ticket amount. Then far field are the further away from the antenna, usually more than 10 wavelengths of the operating frequency from the antenna are the most common. So this is the near field and the far field and example. Then another term is used in antenna is a gain. So antenna gain is generally defines how much electrical signal can convert and radiate into air, called an antenna gain. So there are many types of antenna available in the market with more than 50 dBi of gain, but most common antenna have around 20 dB of gain. This is achieved with the element on the antenna where the element directs the energy into a specific direction, or near field and the far field. If we're talking about more about the gain, there is a unit called dBi, where I stands for isotropic. If we're talking about the isotropic antenna would have no gain at all because it would radiate equally in each and every direction. When we use element on an antenna to direct energy into a specific direction, then we have a gain. So this is the term which we have using an antenna. Um, so when we are directing an energy into a specific direction, then we have a gain. How we define the gain? Peak magnitude of the main lobe at the resonating frequency is defined as a gain of the antenna. So this is antenna gain and unit of the antenna. I hope this would be clear with the help of this slide. Now we moving to next slide. So types of antenna. Generally, we have different type of antenna available, like isotropic. Theoretically, it transmit RF into each and every direction equally. Then we have dipole antenna, monopole antenna, we have horn antenna, we have canonical or dish type of antenna, we have aperture, waveguide or horn antenna. So there are many types of horn antenna or many types of antenna are available in market. It depends on the application where you want to use. And now I'm talking about designing of antenna by taking an example how we are designing antenna. So there are mainly four steps. Like first one is designing of antenna with the help of mathematical equations. Then you can model your antenna in some HFSS software or some EM software. Then simulation, then fabrication, then testing with the help of vector network analyzer. So I am taking an example of designing of antenna. These on the left hand side, these are the some known values like resonating frequencies, substrate, what substrate are using, dielectric constant of the substrate, thickness of the substrate, and where we can use or what are the application for this antenna. So this case, we have took 10 gigahertz of microstrip antenna on RT Duroid substrate with dielectric constant of, then thickness of the substrate is 1.5 mm. So this is the on the right hand side, equation 1, 2, 3 are taken from Balanis, where you calculating radius of the patch antenna at 10 gigahertz. You can put all these values on the left hand side into these equation, and you can calculate easily radius of the circular patch antenna. So by putting these known value into this equation 1, 2, 3, we are getting f equal to 0.5, and we are getting radius of the patch is 0.25 centimeter. So this is the structure of the antenna, where this is the thickness, this is your substrate, this is your circular patch antenna. After calculating these values, we model your structure in some EM software like HFSS or i3D. That's again based on your requirement or resources available with you. So this is the modeled structure in HFSS. This is a circular patch antenna. This is a feed point. This is your ground plane, and this is your radius of the patch end. Then after modeling, you can simulate with the help of HFSS and check the result. This is the simulated result, S11, Smith chart, VSWR. So this is the main simulated result which is useful in antenna simulation. After modeling your structure and after simulation, you have to fabricate. Fabricate using PCB prototype machine, or you can use chemical process method. That's again based on resources available with you. So this is your fabricated antenna. So this is circular patch antenna. This is your feeding point. Then after fabrication of antenna, you have to test your antenna. So when you testing your antenna, then Anritsu comes into action with vector network analyzer. So we have a wide range of vector network analyzer, which is started from several kilohertz and goes to 1.1 terahertz. We have Anritsu Shockline family. We have handheld vector network analyzer. Then we have a Anritsu Vector Star series, which is useful for passive and active device characterization from 70 kilohertz to 1.1 terahertz. So this is main portfolio of Anritsu Vector Network Analyzer. So I am taking a small example of testing of antenna on Anritsu Vector Network Analyzer. So in order to properly measure antenna performance or characterizing of antenna, we must to determine operating frequency, number of data points, IF bandwidth, and trace setup for desired measurement. Means what all traces, what all measurement we require, like VSWR, S11, Smith chart. So before doing any measurement, we have to do a calibration. Calibration is required to removing all errors which is occur by cables or adapters. So there are many types of calibration are available, that's based on your application or DOT. So for coaxial devices, for like antenna is a coaxial device, so we generally do short open load through calibration, or we can say SOLT calibration. There are also many types of calibration available, like SSLT for waveguide calibration. Then we have triple ST short through calibration, then SOLR, TLR, LRL. So these TRL and LRL calibration is for on wafer characterization. So this is the general terms uses in vector network analyzer, like reflection or return loss. We can calculate with the help of S11 or S22. This is the ratio measurement. Then transmission measurement called loss and gain is S21 and S12, where we feeding your input to the port 1 and checking response at the port 2. So this is the ratio measurement where this is this defined in this equations. So this is your 2-port device where you can incident your RF and checking the reflection at the same port and checking forward transmission at another port. So this is our Shockline graphic user interface, Shockline VNA graphic user interface, which is very easy to use. Just you need to click on frequency. You can select your start frequency and the stop frequency. You can enter your number of data points and IF bandwidth, etc. Then you can set up your trace as per your requirement. So like in the first step, you have to set start frequency and the stop frequency and number of data points. Then you go into a trace menu and select trace layout, how many traces you required, what layout you required, you can select with the help of this trace menu. So under the display, you can select whether you required S11 in log format or in VSWR format or S11 in your impedance format. That's again as per your requirement. So this is the setup for measurement of your 1-port device. So this is actual Anritsu vector network analyzer. So this is 100 Shockline VNA up to 43.5 gigahertz. This is displaying of your S parameter, and this is your calibration kit. This is test port for connecting your DUT. So this is the calibration kit. The calibration kit available in K type or in N type. That's again based on your requirement or DUT port. So then we have to go into calibration menu. So click it on calibration, then select manual calibration. Our vector network analyzer supports both AutoCal and the manual cal. In AutoCal, you have to connect auto calibration module. That's a single step calibration process. In manual cal, you have to do open, short, load manually. Then the last step, you have to connect port 1 and port 2 using through. So I'm taking an example of manual calibration. So go into a manual calibration menu. If you're doing 1-port calibration, like in an example of antenna, you only require a 1-port calibration. If you have a 2-port device like band pass filter, low pass filter, or some other 2-port device, you can do a 2-port calibration as well. After selecting 1-port calibration, you have to connect your calibration kit open to the test port. Then in the second port, you have to connect short. In second step, you have to connect short. And the third step, you have to connect load. So then after doing these 3 steps, you can done. Then your calibration has been done and your all error which is occurs by cable or adapter can be considered. So then this is the example of testing of antenna using Shockline VNA. So this is 30 gigahertz of horn antenna connected to port 1. Here is your S11. You can check resonating frequency. You can check Smith chart. You can check VSWR. By putting marker, you can get all value of this antenna. You can perfectly characterize this horn antenna with the help of vector network analyzer. So this is result. You can extract your result in CSV format. You can extract your results in S1P format, which can be re-import into HFSS or any EM software, and then you can compare with your simulated result. So this is S11 result. This is your VSWR, and this is your Smith chart. So if you require radiation pattern measurement, then we have some third-party tie-up for radiation pattern measurement where you can check radiation pattern of your antenna. So that's required horn antenna or reference horn antenna. You can put your DUT here, and this port, this horn antenna is connected to VNA. You can see in last picture, this is the understood shock line VNA connected with horn reference horn antenna, and the other port is connected with your DUT antenna. So with the help of this radiation pattern measurement unit, you can get beam width, you can get radiation pattern, you can get gain of the antenna. So this is my presentation, and now I'm handing over to Mr. Lakshmi Narayan. Lakshmi? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Lakshmi, we are able to hear you. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead, Lakshmi.
I'm not able to share the content. That's why I'm thinking.
Oh, okay, okay. I think now you will be able to share your content. Please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Lakshmana. So now Anup has discussed about the antenna measurements and some of the fundamentals and designing part of the antennas. So now we will be coming to the VNA fundamentals and transmission line, some of the parameters in the presentation. So in this agenda, we will cover some fundamentals of transmission lines, network analyzer, and VNA terminology, and S parameters, and block diagram of VNA, and calibration method, and some of the RF components, and related to the RF components, what are the measurements we can do using a VNA. So as we know, in this lesson, you will be introduced to the concept and some basic theory of transmission lines. The concept of transmission lines is basic to the understanding of RF and microwave technology. Transmission lines comes in many forms. Here are some well-known types like coaxial, waveguide, twisted pair, coplanar, strip line, and microstrip. As we know, in the RF circuit design on a PCB boards like printed circuit boards often use a coplanar or a microstrip transmission lines. So next we will coming on to the characteristic impedance. The fundamental proper parameter of a transmission line is its characteristic impedance Z0. So the Z0 describes the relationship between the voltage and current traveling waves. For most RF systems, Z0 is for RF and microwave communication and radar applications where for the function of a fundamental physical dimension dielectric constant. So for most RF systems, Z0 is either 50 ohms or 75 ohms. For a low power situations like cable TV, for example, coaxial transmission lines are optimized for a low loss, which works out to about 75 ohms, as we know. For RF and microwave communications, radar applications where high power is often encountered, coaxial transmission lines are designed to have a characteristic impedance of 50 ohms. As we know, we will be using most of the 50 ohms, which is a compromise between the maximum power handling 30 ohms and a minimum loss of 77 ohms. So we will discuss later on in next slide about the what is this actually the impedance and why we will set the 50 ohms impedance in the RF transmission line. So why 50 ohms? So as we know, the formula is like D by D is equal to 138 log 10 D by D is inner dia by outer dia by inner dia of the coaxial connector. So the range of the impedance for reasonable mechanical ratios, for example, if D by D varies from 1.5 to 10 ohm, 10, the impedance for the dielectric varies from 24.3 ohms to 138 ohm. So any mechanical easily made coaxial line is going to have a characteristic impedance around 25 to 100 ohms. For a 50 ohms, there will be the ratio will be 2.3. For a lowest attenuation, why 50 ohms? So it seems to be a compromise. The lowest attenuation occurs when the inner to outer diameter ratio is 3.6, which corresponds to an impedance of 77.6 ohms. On the other hand, because the electric field strength and IS near the surface of the inner conductor, this field strength could cause a breakdown if too high. By calculating between the voltage breakdown in air and transmitted power, the reflection line gives a diameter ratio of 1.65, which is corresponding to 30 ohms. To compromise between these two, we are using a 50 ohms. So that's why we will be using a coaxial line almost in every circuit or a PCB design, and antenna will be designed to a 50 ohms. So what is the transmission line transmitted? Terminated with a Z0. So as we know, since the transmission line is terminated in its characteristic impedance results the maximum transfer of power to the load. There is no reflected signal. This results in the same as if the transmission line was infinitely long also. If we were to look at the envelope of the RF signal versus distance along the transmission line, it would be constant. So there is any standing wave pattern. This is because there is energy flowing in only one direction. So next, let's terminate our line in a short. So since purely reactive elements cannot dissipate any power and there is no where else for the energy to go, a reflected wave is launched back to the line toward the source. It will be 180 degree out of phase. Our reflected and energy incident voltage waves will be identical in magnitude but traveling in the opposite direction when we connect to the transmission line with a short. When the transmission line is terminated with the open, so when the terminated with the open, the reflected and incident current waves will be identical in magnitude but traveling in the opposite direction. It will be identical and it will be in the opposite direction, but it will be in the phase. Finally, let's terminate our line with a 25 ohms load. So let's reach it. So what happens when some of our incident energy will be observed in the load and some will be reflected back towards the source. We will find that our reflected voltage wave will be having an amplitude of 1/3 that of the incident wave, and that the two waves will be 180 degree out of phase at the load. So this is how it looks. So now we will talk about the network analyzers. So all of them will be more often familiar with a LAN network analyzer and RF network analyzer. But in this we will talk about only the RF network analyzer, which will be using a S parameters and which will be used for the characterization of the RF devices or a components. So a network analyzer is is an instrument that measures the network parameters of the electrical networks. So electrical network is nothing but the combination of the RLC components. Today, network analyzer commonly measure a S parameters. Why we will use a S parameters? Because it is easy to measure at high frequencies. For a measurement of high frequencies, we will be using a S parameters. And RF and microwave measurements characterizing a high frequency active and passive devices. And magnitude alone is sufficient in some cases for a amplifier gain and a filter top end rejection or a filter response measurements. But magnitude and phase are needed for complete characterization of the linear networks and nonlinear networks, where you need the phase information also to be measured for accurate circuit simulation and designing efficient matching networks, where the matching impedance will be a main part in the circuits. So this will be the phase and magnitude information all required. And some of the time domain characterization for measuring. Like for measuring like a distance to fault measurement in a time axis, or you want to measure the impedance mismatch, you can use a time domain characterization. So why users need a VNS? VNS are used to characterize the RF performance of high frequency devices used in a multiple environments. So characterizing devices for a R&D, testing devices for a manufacturing, or doing a conformancy test in a maintenance like pass or fail or a conformancy test, we will be using the network analyzers. And it is used in a different packages and configurations depending on your device, like what is the type of a device we are using, a coaxial or a waveguide or any materials kind of thing, and what are the ports. So depending on the device, how many ports are the device, like it will be a mixer, it will need a 3-port device. And for a high speed applications, you need a single-ended and differential inputs and waveguide connectors. These are the configurations related to the device, what we can configure when we are selecting the network analyzers. So used for a multiple measurements, network analyzer used for a multiple measurements like S parameters, the basic S parameters like reflection and transmission characterization, and in the non-linear devices, gain compression measurement, which will replacing the power meters also, and IMD intermodulation distortion measurements, harmonics, which will replace the spectrum analyzer. And nowadays, the advanced network analyzers can measure the noise figures and time domain measurements. As I previously told, time domain is used to measure the distance to fault and impedance measurements at a specific locations. And in advanced time domain, you can measure the I diagram and TDR, the differential parameters also used in test many types of devices like amplifiers, mixers, switches, and cables, some of the passive and active devices. So VNA terminology, we will discuss on VNA terminology, like what is the difference of a vector and scalar, passive and active devices, transmission and reflection, and S parameters. So vector and scalars, as we know, RF signals have a magnitude and a phase associated with them. Vector includes the magnitude and phase of the signal, where you'll get both the information, phase and magnitude. In the scalar, we get only the magnitude information, which is having the limited dynamic range. And historically, the scalar network analyzer is less expensive than VNS, but recent years, VNS have become more affordable, and many manufacturers have discontinued the scalar network analyzers. The scalar network analyzers was using around in 1990s to 2000s. We are using the scalar network analyzer, but now we are using a VNS vector network analyzers for the measuring the all the passive or active devices, which will be inbuilt of the signal generator inside the network analyzers. So what is this passive and active devices? The passive devices that does not produce any energy and does not amplify the signal, which will give the only the loss or any response of the signal or a device of a device. So the keyword will be the loss, like example filters, cables, and connectors, etc. And active devices are the devices which has a which has to be voltages has to be applied to amplify the signals or to make it active. We will be applying the voltages like DC bias voltages also. So some of the examples like amplifiers, filters, mixers, and other things. And the keyword will be the gain, which will be the main part of the active devices. So this is amplifier. So transmission and reflection. Transmission is nothing but the insertion loss or a gain, where the decrease or increase in the signal power resulting for the insertion of a device in the testing device or a transmission line. The ratio of the transmitted to the incident signal, where will be transmitted transmit the signal from one port and it will be receiving in the other port. If there is any loss or a gain, we can measure using the transmission parameters. And when you come for a reflection parameter, it is a measure of the signal reflected to an interface such as a connector, and it is a ratio of the reflected signal to the incident signal. So where it will do the ratio measurement of the incident to the reflected signal of the device. So we will come to now the how the network analyzer and S parameter works. So let me take an example of a light wave energy. So when there is a lens, you will incident a signal. You will incident a light wave, and some will be reflected back and some will be transmitted depending on the lens characteristics. So the some will be reflected and some will be transmitted depending on the lens characteristics. The same way, when you connect a RF device, you will be transmitting the RF signal to the device input, and some will be reflected, some will be transmitted. So whatever the reflected signal, what we will call it as a reflection parameters, it is the ratio of a reflected to incident signal. Then comes the transmitted part, that will be the transmission parameter, like transmitted to the incident ratio. So high frequency device characterization, where there will be the same incident, we will be characterized labeling as a R and reflected as a and will be transmitted as a B, and we will do the ratio measurement reflected by incident, which is called as the reflection parameters. So the reflection parameters include a SWR, S parameters, reflection coefficients, input impedance, return loss. And transmission parameters like gain or a loss, S parameter S21 and S12, transmission coefficient, insertion phase, and group delay. So these are the S parameters, the same. So S parameters are a shorthand method of describing reflection and transmission cases of two-port network. And S21, this is a S21. When you come for a S21, the first digit is the port number, the 2, where the signal is measured, and the second digit 1 is the sourcing port or a originate port, where the signal will be fed to the device and measured in the port 2. So definitions like S11 is a forward reflection, S21 forward transmission, and S12 is a reverse transmission, and S22 is a reverse reflection, which will be measured in the other end of the device. So this is how the VNA front panel looks. You can see all the 4 S parameters display in the single display, where you will get a S11, S12, S21, and S22. So you can do all the 4 S parameters in a single display. So now we will come to the block diagram of the network analyzer. So the main parts of the block diagram of a network analyzer, which covers the source, receiver, reflectometers, and a switch. So what happens when you are measuring the forward parameters like S11 and S21? It is the, as we know, the S1 is the ratio of a B1 by A1. So A1 is the reference receiver and B1 is the reflected receiver of the port 1. Sampler A1, which measures the incident energy onto the device DUT, and sampler B1 measures the reflected of the energy back from the DUT, and B2 measures the transmitted energy through the DUT. So when you come for a S22, what happens? The switch will be toggles to the other port, other switch, and the signal passes to the A2, where the reference signal will be taken in the A2 receiver, and the reflected signal will be captured in a B2, and we will do the measurement of the B2 by A1. And once the signal passes through the reflectometer, it will passes to the B1 receiver, where you will be measuring the transmission measurement, like transmission measurement is S1 to B1 by A2. So these are you will be measuring the A1 transmission and reflection parameters. When you come for the calibration, there is a two types of calibration, like instrument calibration and a measurement calibration. So many of them get confusion. What is these two? When you come for a calibration, so instrument calibration is nothing but the calibration is done in the accredited laboratory, which is a ISO standard, which will be having a enable accredited laboratory, which uses the calibration standards and do the calibration of the instrument, which will be calendar of around 12 months standard calibration interval. So this is done in the accredited laboratory or a local service center. So this is a certificate. Once the calibration is completed, we will give the certificate of calibration. And this is a measurement calibration, which is the calibration procedure which will be used to do in the to the instrument, where you will be setting a 50 ohms reference at the end of the port and 0 dB reference plane, using a manual calibration and auto calibration, using a open short load through, or some of the standard calibration standards. So this is a calibration kit. Calibration is a foundation why we will make accurate measurements. So calibration is fundamental to making accurate measurements, because port 1 will be connected to UVT and port 2 will be define a reference plane. It will set the reference plane at the 0 dB at the end of the DUTs, and it will remove the systematic errors due to the frequency response or a source to load match, directivity, and isolation. Because this network analyzer is made up of all of the active, some of the reflectometers like couplers or dividers. So it will be having some errors, which will be systematic errors, which will be corrected when we are doing the calibration. So random errors cannot be calibrated, because this will be the connector repeatability, cable stability, and environmental changes. Depending on these key factors, the random errors occur. So this cannot be calibrated out when you're doing the calibration. So these are some of the types of calibration: full two-port calibration, full one-port, or a one-path two-port calibration, frequency response. Depending on your application and the device, we can select any type of a calibration and we can do the S parameters. So some of the RF components and their measurements. So we are having a components like antennas, filters, cables, attenuators, directional couplers, bridges. So these are some of the passive components. So passive components, the mainly measurements what we'll do, like antennas or bridges, we'll be measuring the input impedance matching. What is the impedance of the input and output? And we will see the return loss, what we will call it as a log magnitude in the vector network analyzer parameter, and a standing wave ratio, isolation. What is the isolation between one port to other port when there is a multiple input and multiple output antennas? You will be measuring the what is the isolation between the one port and the other port, and what is the loss of the cable or a attenuator, radiation pattern for antennas, and bandwidth for the filter. We can measure a 3 dB bandwidth or a 0 dB bandwidth. So, and a group delay, that is the reference between the, that is a, with the, it will measure the phase variation of the DUT with reference to the frequency. So these are some of the measurements what we will do in the passive components. When you come for the active components, we are having amplifiers, mixers, transceivers, converters, transceiver modulars, and receivers. So what are the major parameters in that? Means we will be measuring the S parameters, all 4 S parameters, and gain compression. Gain compression is nothing but the point where the amplifier get into breakdown. So that is called as a gain compression point. And you will be measuring the IMD measurement, where you will be generating a 2 tones and feeding to the amplifier or a mixer, and you will be analyzing the receiver side, what are the, if there is any non-harmonics present in the fundamental frequencies, and what is the level of the harmonics. So conversion loss, and again for a mixers, And isolation is nothing for the amplifiers or filters. Pulsed S parameters, it is used for the transceiver modules when it is used to measure the S parameters of the pulsed signals. And noise figure measurements also used for a transceiver modules and amplifiers. So these are some of the measurements what we do for the active components. So these are about the VNA presentation. Now the Aditya will take the call. Aditya?
Yes, Lakshmi.
Yeah, you can take the call.
Sir, I'm not able to share the content.
1 second, I'm making you presenter.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, now you can do it.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Sir, is it visible on the screen?
Yes, it is visible, and you are audible also.
Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. So far, we talked about the designing of antenna, measurement antenna, basics of VNA as well. Now, in the last part, we will be covering the basic portfolio of VNA, the Anitsu portfolio, VNA portfolio, and what Anitsu can provide in terms of VNA. Okay, so if I talk about yeah. So if I talk about VNA, Anitsu has mainly three categories. One is the Shockline series, then we have a handheld series, and then we have the Vector Star. So is a Shockline series is a VNA series where sorry, where the display and the keyboard are not inside itself with the instrument itself. To access the instrument, the hardware is already there. To access that, we use separate computer or external display or keyboard or monitor can be used. Uh, because of which this is a high performance with the economical costing as well. Now we do have the handheld as well. We have different models for the handheld product. So we do have VNA with the spectrum analyzer, without spectrum analyzer, which can goes up to 40 gigahertz. Then Vector Star is there, which can cover all the application measurement applications such as active measurement, linear, non-linear parameters, active parameter, active and passive devices. All those parameter can be done. Now, starting with the Shockline, this is the graph which shows the price to performance graph. Now, as we can see in the lower section, we do have models which are one port VNA, model number MS 46121B and 131A. Now, those both comes under Shockline series. Now, 131 can go is the industry first, which can go up to 43 gigahertz and a single port VNA. These come under economical section. Then we have high performance section, which is Shockline MS46522B. And for the higher performance section, we do have Vector series, Vector Star. Now, if I talk about the Shockline family products, so starting with up to 6 gigahertz only, they can go for directly one port VNA, which can be directly connected to any laptop, any system with the window-based systems, and you can access even with the battery itself. You don't require any separate power for this. Now, if I talk about one port series with a higher frequency range, now we do have Anitsu have MS46131A, which has three model 8 gigahertz, 20 gigahertz, and 43.5 gigahertz. Now, this particular model required to have a power supply externally to the module, and it's a one port VNA. And customer who are working on antenna for the higher frequencies, measurement of antenna in a higher frequency, for example, in 5G measurements, 5G antenna measurements, they can go for this, or customers who are working on MIMO application where multiple ports are there, so they can have multiple units of one port VNA and they can connect and they can do the measurement. Then we have starting of the our two port VNA, which is MS46122B. It's again the model starts from 1 megahertz, goes up to 8, 20, and 43.5 gigahertz. Now this model it's a hardware which is need to be connected to a laptop or a system, and the software run on the system, and all the measurement and the hardware is already in this device. So this is a very compact, very economical but powerful instrument. Then we have MS46322B, again 8 gigahertz, 20 gigahertz, 43.5 gigahertz covered, frequency range covered in this particular model. The best part about this is it has inbuilt computer, or we call it control unit or system itself. So the user just need to attach a display. Now the software which is used in all the Shockline series it's same. So and it's also, the GUI is developed in such a way that a customer who is using a touch screen, he can use the same software. So connecting a display with a touchscreen display can be used, and the customer can do the measurement. Then in the higher performance category, we do have MS46500 series. Now we do have again 3 models. Starts from 50 kilohertz. We do have 8.5, 20, 43.5 gigahertz. We do have different configuration as well. We do have 2-port configuration. We do have 4-port configuration in this. And we also have an E-band, which is 55 gigahertz to 92 gigahertz. Now, customer who is working on the higher range only, and he does not require to go into the lower range, he can directly go for the E-band VNA, which is a 2-port VNA, performance VNA, and covers frequency range starting from 55 gigahertz, goes up to 92 gigahertz. Now, if I talk about 2-port VNA in Shockline, which is MS46122B and MS46322B, both are 2-port VNAs. The difference between these two is the 322B have a control system, like I said, itself. So you just need to connect, user need to connect a display, external display, that's it. However, in MS46122B, it does not have a control unit or CPU. So the user need to connect it to the laptop or a computer so that it can run the software through it, and it directly connected through a USB cable, direct cable. Frequency coverage is again 1 megahertz to 8 gigahertz, 20 gigahertz, and 43.5 gigahertz. Then we have these are some advantages of MS46122 and 322B 2-port VNAs. So first, it's a fully 2-port VNA, which has a port like N type, and then we have K type, extended K type for 43.5 gigahertz. We have 3 frequency range, like I said, 8 gigahertz, 20 gigahertz, 43.5 gigahertz. It has additional advantage of including SOLR, LRL, LRM calibration, which include. Now the sweeping speed is very high in this particular instrument. Then we have power output of plus 5 dBm, which is typical for 8 gigahertz, and then minus 3 dBm for frequency greater than 8 gigahertz to 43.5 gigahertz. Standard accessible accessories are there with the RF and microwave interconnections are there. Now, if I talk about the size, it's very small in size. If you can see, the size of MS46122B is equivalent to 1U of the RF rack. And if I talk about 322B, it only covers the area of 2U in RF rack. So it's very easy to rack mount these instruments, and it's a very small form factor compared to other VNA. Now, if I talk about MS46522B, 500 series, so we do have again 3 models, which is 50 kilohertz to 8.5 gigahertz, 20 gigahertz, 43.5 gigahertz. Here we do have a number of configuration of port selection. So we do have 2-port VNA as well. So we do have 4-port VNA. Now, if I talk about the 2-port VNA, we do have 2 source and 4 receiver. And in 4-port, we do have 4-port and 8 receiver architectures there, which is unique and not available in any competition itself. So the all Shockline series are integrated with PC and Windows 7, and now it's supported to Windows 10 as well. Sorry. Then I talked about the E-band VNA, which is 55 to 92 gigahertz. It's again 2-port VNA, 1 meter and 5 meter. Cables are module cables are available. Different configurations are there. We do have 2-port and 4-port configuration. Already talked about the architecture. Operating system, already talked, it support Windows 10, the latest one, and the past as well. If I talk about the size of MS46522, it's equivalent to 3U in a rack mountable package. So it's again, it's a complex compared to the performance it's giving. If I talk about the testing, it can test passive, linear, RF, microwave devices. It also has an application of signal integrity testing, system integration, and OTHML integration. They all require. They can be used for, with the help of this. We can do the measurement with the help of this particular VNA. If I talk about the comparison between different models, so if I talk about 122, already talked about, we have 6 gigahertz and 4 gigahertz. MS46131A is a single port VNA in the industry, which is the first one port VNA which can cover up to 43.5 gigahertz, the higher frequency gigahertz. Okay. Then we have 122, 322, then we have 522, 524, and then E-band. If you see the calibration list, so we are these all Shockline series are compatible with SOLT, SOLR, SSLR, SST, LRM, LRL. All these calibration are again also AutoCal and SmartCal are also compatible with them. Now we go to now, if I talk about the handle category, so in the starting we do have SiteMaster. Now SiteMaster SA20E. Now this is the industry first handle product which goes up to developed for to go up to 40 gigahertz. It was the industry first. Now we do have five models. We starting from 1 megahertz, it goes to 8 gigahertz, then 14 gigahertz, 20 gigahertz, 30 gigahertz, and then we have 40 gigahertz as well. It's a full two-port VNA, which also has a cable antenna analyzer itself. Now, if I talk about the basics, it can do one-port measurement like return loss, VSWR, cable loss, distance to faulty phase, Smith chart. Then it also can do, like I said, it's a two-port, so it can do the transmission measurement as well. If I talk about two-port, sweep cable loss measurement are also there. So if I talk about the standard, standard feature, if I talk about, so this is a military grade instrument, so it has compliant to the MIL standards. Along with that, it's a very rugged product. It has a 3-year warranty and low cost ownership of it. Now, sorry, it also comes with the software with so license software, not license software, but it's a free of cost software, which is line sweeping tool, which give easy use of tools to use, so that user can use online, offline test, offline measurements on the traces itself. So that's also there. Then there is option of vector voltmeter mode as well in this particular model. Then Anetsu have handle series, which is B series and C series, which comes along with spectrum analyzer, without spectrum analyzer itself. So if I talk about B series and C series, we do have different models, like we have 4 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz, then we have 9 gigahertz, 15 gigahertz, and 20 gigahertz. If I talk about the basic architecture and the block diagram of a VNA, so we do have two ports. Just a sec. Yeah, so we do have two ports where the DOT need to be connected. Then we have receiver for port 1 and receiver for port 2. We have reference receiver for comparing the source and the reflections. And these are the bridging couplers, directional couplers. Now source is single source, which is toggling between these two ports and do the measurement. Now the source gives the signal to the DOT from the port 1, and the reflection is taken back on the port 2, and it's compared on the reference receivers, right? So this is how the basic VNA works in a very basic VNA block diagram. Now, if I talk about VNA master series, we do have B series. Now B series we have 4 models. So one is without spectrum analyzer, another is spectrum analyzer plus VNA. So if I talk about with VNA, we do have 4 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz. And with spectrum analyzer, again, we do have 4 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz. However, we have a spectrum analyzer which cover up to 9, starting from 9 kilohertz, goes up to 4 gigahertz, and 9 kilohertz up to 6 gigahertz. It's a broadband coverage up to 4 and 6 gigahertz. Again, it's a one path, two port vector network analyzer. So customer will be able to do reflection measurement, transmission measurement. However, if the customer want full two port, they need to be changing the DUT ports as well to get all four parameters. Okay. The user GUI is very interactive. It's very user friendly for this particular instrument. It's a touchscreen based instrument, so user can use it without any problem, without any glitch. Again, the calibration is there. Now, the best part about these instruments are the port which are used for VNA and spectrum are different. So that if tomorrow is something happen, if God forbid something happened to your spectrum analyzer, your VNA won't affected by that. Or if something happened to your VNA, your spectrum analyzer won't be affected because of it. Now, if I talk about the spectrum analyzer features, it can cover measurement, occupied bandwidth, channel power, ACPR, carrier CIN. It also has a facility of interference analyzer, spectrogram, signal strength, RSSI, received signal strength indicator, signal ID. And if I talk about the frequency, which is like 50 ppb, which is part per billion on GPS, which is very high as compared to rest in the market. Then it also give the accessibility of trace, like normal trace, max hold, min hold, average. If I talk about the detectors, it has peak detector, negative peak detector, negative detector, sample, quasi peak, 2 RMS, all these detector are already there in the spectral analyzer function. And the marker, the user can use up to 6 marker, which each with the delta and reference. Now we do have the other model is a C series model, which is MS20 200 C series, which is again the combination of VNA and spectrum. If the customer only required to have a VNA, it can adopt for starting frequency ranges 5 kilohertz goes to 6, 15, 20 gigahertz. I'm sorry. And if the customer wants combination of VNA, then it can go for including spectrum analyzer as well, which is a 9 kilohertz, 9 gigahertz, 15 gigahertz, and 20 gigahertz model. Again, it's a two-port VNA, fully two-port VNA, true two-port VNA up to 20 gigahertz. It eliminates all 12 terms error corrections. It's a high performance handled VNA. Arbitrary data, if I talk about, is up to 4,000 points in a VNA. The IF bandwidth selection starts from 10 hertz and goes up to 100 kilohertz. If I talk about the directivity, it's 42 dB up to 6 gigahertz and 36 dB beyond 6 gigahertz up to 20 gigahertz. If I talk about again the calibration, it supports SOLR, SSLR, SSSR. All models supported waveguide measurement. It has a very fast sweeping sieve. Along with that, it gives you facility of connecting to your peripheral devices using Ethernet or USB, or connecting directly to your PC. Now the display is already there. These all handheld instruments come with the web server advantage, where a user can take this instrument remotely with the help of web interface without any software or drivers. Then if I talk about the spectrum analyzer module, which is there, the function, it again covers occupy bandwidth, channel power, ACPR, CI. If I talk about the dynamic range of the spectrum analyzer, if you can see, it's 106 dB in 1 hertz RBW, which is very, very good. DNL, if I talk about this, minus 164 dBm, which is again very good as compared to rest of the spectrum analyzer in the market. Phase noise again minus 106 dBc per hertz. Resolution bandwidth, if I talk about it, gives you the resolution of 1 hertz, goes up to 10 megahertz. Traces again normal, max hold, min holds are available. Average is also there. Detector, if I talk about peak, negative, sample, quasi peak, 2 RMS is there. Marker, they give you facility of 6 marker each with the delta And one more thing, they also has a limit light option where you can define your limits on the spectrum so that if the limits is crossed, it can give you a burst or it can save the traces as well, which is a very handy tool for using spectrum analyzer. So 5 reasons why you need to use ANSU VNA for RF and microwave teaching tools. So first is if you see all these instruments, which is GPS receiver, we have vector voltmeter, we have a spectrum analyzer, we have VNA, which is network vector network analyzer. Along with that, we do have power meter, high accuracy power meter. If you combine all this instrument in a single unit, you will get a B series and C series instrument, which give you all this facility in a single small form factor unit, which is battery operated and give you a measurement time period of around 3 hours, so that you can do continuous measurement of 3 hours. So that is the replacement of multiple instrument in a single instrument. And one more thing, the performance of these instrument is, as I told you, it's as good as a benchtop, which are available in the market. The dynamic range and the DNL. So that is the reason why a customer who is looking for a multiple instrument scenario, he can go for this particular model. In the last talk about VectorStar. So VectorStar is the higher end product. So for the customers who are working on active measurement as well, they need to have different configuration. They want 2-port or 4 ports or different modules. They can go for it. Now the best part about this VectorStar is it starts from 70 kilohertz. We have 10 megahertz option. Starts from 20, 40, 70, and now we have added a few more models as well, which is 110, 125, 145, when 220 gigahertz directly, which is a single unit, single sweep. Starting from 10 megahertz goes up to 220 gigahertz in a single sweep. So this is no other in the industry is giving a single sweep VNA for this broadband up to 220 gigahertz. Again, like I told you, it has a configuration of 2-port and 4-port baseband units. If you see in the down section, we do have 2-port VNA, then we have 4-port VNA, and the best part about this, the 4-port module is separated from the main unit. So in the future, if you want a 4-port unit, so instead of buying a new instrument, you can directly upgrade it to the older one without any problem, without any including of hardware or giving the money, extra money of procurement. Then we have millimeter wave system as well, which you can see over here. We do have millimeter wave, which can go up to terahertz. This is a selection guide for VNA, ANSU VNA. So we do have different configuration, different criteria for selection of VNA. So first criteria is the frequency range. So if I talk about the frequency range for up to 43.5 gigahertz, we do have single, we do have handled products, we have shock line. Then we do have higher than up to 92. We do have ANSU have E series E band VNA, and beyond 92, VectorStar is there, which can go up to 220. The second criteria is the port selection. So a customer who is working on antenna measurement, he does not require multiple, 2-port VNA or 2-port or 4-port VNA. Then he can go for Shockline MS46131 or 121B. And also a customer who is working on MIMO application antennas, such as which require multiple VNA to be connected, more than 4. Then instead of buying 2 4-port VNA, he can adopt for 8 1-port VNA, and he can directly connect to this 8-port VNA through the computer, and he can analyze those measurement. Then 2-port VNA, customer has facility of using handled VNA. Then Shockline is there, which is MS46122B. 46322B and MS46522B. If customer require 2-port to 4-port, then again go for Shockline or VectorStar. So these are different models with different criteria where performance is required. So according to that, the customer can adopt for that. Thank you. If there is any question related to the presentation we just gave, we will be happy to address you that right now. That's it from my side. Thank you all.
Yeah.
And
Thank you very much. So I'm seeing a few questions in the Q&A session window. So I will just just read out and then you can answer them.
Sure, sir.
So, is there any technology in antenna fabrication processing using 3D printers? Yes, there is a technology, but anyway, you can answer this question.
Anup, you want to give the answer?
Is there any technology in antenna fabrication to process using 3D printer? Um, Maybe it's available. You can utilize 3D printer to fabricate antenna, but Anritsu doesn't have any instruments for fabricating antennas.
Yes.
You have only a vector network analyzer to test your antennas or any passive or active device.
Yeah, I will just add here. One can go and see the Wipro 3D website. So they are doing really good work, mostly in the fabrication of horn antennas and using 3D printers. So there is a technology available. One can go through, and then if they want, they can use it. Second one is question is TRL calibration available?
Yes, it is available.
Yes.
TRL is nothing but it is in Anritsu we call it as a LRL, line reflect line. You can have a
Okay.
through reflect line or a line reflect line. In our case, instead of through, we will put the line as equal to 0, which will be equivalent to the through. So TRL is nothing but as LRL calibration. This is available in all our shock line and vector star series of VNAs. It is available.
Different OEM have different terminology, so we call it LRL. Some people call it TRL.
Okay. So there is one question asked by Mr. Pallab Gogoi. He is asking, we already have anechoic chamber at IIT Kharagpur and also the VNA, but how to synchronize it for radiation pattern measurement? Can you kindly comment? We would need some technical help. Kindly provide the same.
We have some third-party tie-up to provide anechoic chamber and radiation pattern unit. So what they provide, they have a whole setup for anechoic chamber, and then that's include tripod, stepper motor, and along with the software. So their software is compatible with our vector network analyzer. What they does, they connect their software with the help of laptop and connect with our VNA and extracting the S21 measurement and plots the radiation pattern or other parameters like gain. So if you require details or those third-party data, third-party software, please write us. My mail ID, I'll write down my mail ID, anup.sagar@anritsu.com.
Good, thank you. Next question is, what is the ideal value for data points before calibration?
That depends on frequency band you
yeah.
taking. You like you taking wider band, then you require more number of data points. If you taking a smaller bandwidth, like you characterizing antenna from 1 to 2 gigahertz, then like 201 or 401 data point would be enough.
Okay,
So
thank you.
that
The point
Next
will always
question.
depending on the bandwidth the customer is using, the frequency range it's using. So for higher bandwidth, if your customer is going from 1 gigahertz to 20 gigahertz, of course they require to have more points. And if he is using just 122, like I said by Anup, so they don't require that much of a point.
Okay, great. Next question is, can you please elaborate measurement for MIMO antennas?
Sorry. Sir.
Hello.
Yeah,
Sir,
Lakshmi, go ahead.
for MIMO antenna depends on the parameter. Usually for a MIMO antennas, it will be having a multiple input and multiple output. As I told, so you want to measure the each port, what is the impedance also. You can measure the impedance of the each port, or you can measure the isolation between the each port. What we call it as a transmission parameter, like S21. You can do isolation between the each port, you can measure. And simultaneously and parallel, you can measure the each port, what is the SWR and return loss of the each ports. So you can measure the return loss and isolation and impedance matching of the individual ports.
Just one more thing I wanted to add in my application. So, for example, if customer is having a DUT which is having ports more than 4, so at that point, what user need to do is user need to connect two port VNA for two port, keeping the other port terminating with 50 ohm and doing the measurement, then repeating the same process for other two, then again. So this will take more time. So instead of that, what we have just suggested is a customer can connect multiple one-port VNA to all 6 ports, and simultaneously you can do the measurement and see the traces on the screen of all 6 ports.
Great. So I think with this we have covered all the questions. Anyway, if you are having any more questions, you can always ask tomorrow. We will be having the remaining part of this presentation tomorrow at 6 p.m. So thank you, Sadanandji, Lakshmi Narayan, Anoop, and Aditya for joining us and giving an excellent, excellent as well as informative lecture on VNAs, antenna design, simulation, and working principle of those devices. It was really wonderful to have all of you with us, and I hope mostly students. I can see most of the students are either from IIT Kharagpur, Roorkee, Delhi, Bombay. So most of the IIT students they have joined it. So that shows that we are really serving the need of students who are really looking to contribute towards RF and microwave field. Thank you very much. And tomorrow again, 6 p.m., we will be meeting all of you again, and then we will be covering the rest of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We'll meet again tomorrow.